Welcome back to BeerFormers. This is episode 36. I don't know about you, but I've been tired of all these bugs.
It's that natty time of year.
It's that natty time of year. Which would be cool if we were talking about Natty Live.
Right,
but
right.
we're not. We're not talking about Natty Live. Well, welcome back to BeerFormers. This is the 36th episode, as I said. And it is buggy. So we're going to be talking today about the Insecticons. The original. The original Insecticons from Generation 1. There have been many Insecticons over the years.
Excited.
But the original three were quite the sight to behold, I think, back in the day. Functionally, I think they were kind of, in the sense of, they were opposites of the Dinobots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
And mostly in this way, okay? The Dinobots on the cartoon. I think we're focusing on the cartoon mostly. The Dinobots were kind of like, they didn't play by the rules. They didn't necessarily, they were with the Autobots, but they could easily, they could be persuaded to do something else. Okay. The Insecticons are kind of the same way in the cartoon, at least, right there, right? So the Insecticons originally were 3. We did one Insecticon last year.
It was a cicada.
It was a cicada one because it was the middle of the cicada season. So these are the original 3. Let's just go ahead and get them out real quick here.
Let's do it.
We'll talk about how they were in the cartoon and stuff like that here. We have Shrapnel.
Shrapnel. I remember how cool these were. Yeah. Because they were like, they're bugs and they turned into robots. And
depending on the media that was portraying them, they were either shrunk down to actual size of insects, or they were just really big robotic insects, or whatever. But they've been handled differently over the years, which is one of the things that makes Transformers fun and interesting.
Right.
Then we had Kickback, who's my personal favorite. I don't know why. It's like he looks cool with the wings and stuff like that. And then we have Bombshell.
Okay, so beetle, grasshopper, ant.
Beetle, yeah.
Beetle, okay.
2 beetles,
yeah. 2 beetles.
It's like a stag beetle and a rhinoceros beetle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had to look this up not too long ago because it popped up in my mind somehow. But I remember on the side of the original box for Shrapnel, it said, like, I'm going to pronounce this horribly probably, but it looks like it goes from robot to, lamlicorn. I'm like, what is a lamlicorn? But apparently that's the type of stag beetle he is.
So it's science lesson with your Transformers. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So here they are. So all 3 have the styling of black and purple being kind of a Decepticon color, as if you kind of pay attention to how these things go here. They all have chrome weapons and chrome parts. These are also throwbacks from the original Diaclone line, from before they were actually Transformers. These were the bad guys for the Diaclone line. Oh. They would have been called Warooters or something like that.
Oh, okay? So they just repurposed
So in Diaclone, it was like, human-powered, human-driven giant robots.
Yeah.
That's why the original ones had cockpits. We've talked about that before. These guys also have cockpits, too, where a little alien figure can go inside to drive them. That was the Warooters, okay? So each one of these guys... You just pop this gun off there.
Shoot. I was just trying to open his cockpit. Why didn't it open?
In the cartoon, these guys were a part of the original Decepticon crew when they crash landed on Earth 4 million years ago. But their escape pod, I guess, broke off and crash landed in like the jungle somewhere. Okay. So when everybody woke up in the 80s, they kind of, I guess, forgot these guys were on board or something. I don't know. But one of the episodes, they go find them in the jungle. They find like the escape pod, and these guys have just been doing their thing in the jungle.
Is that why they're insects? Because
they must have scanned insects or something like that and did that. Yeah, that was not very well described back in the day. The only time you saw it in the original cartoon was when they first got activated. They had a satellite that went around and it scanned different things and then sent that information back to the Ark when it repaired people. So presumably maybe something happened with these in the cartoon. We don't know. But what made these guys kind of fun is that they were kind of quirky, I guess, for being alone for 4 million years. Okay. They had a weird way of talking. They would kind of tend to repeat, like almost like echolalia, if you know what that is. And you have people with neurodivergent type things. They would say a sentence and they kind of sort of repeat the last little bit of it. So it'd be like, "We must transform," that kind of thing. But each one had different powers because that was kind of a theme of the original lines. In addition to like their play value, they had like a secret power. So
what were they?
So Shrapnel here was the master of electricity. So he could call down lightning and then shoot it out of his hands.
Oh, force lightning.
Yeah.
Cool.
Kickback had the strong back legs, so he could really kick things hard.
Could he jump really high?
Probably jump really high too.
Okay, cool.
And Bombshell, he used this thing here on his forehead. He was like the master of mind control. He would inject these little cerebro shells into your brain. They would even work on humans too. And then he could control you. And another thing they had for the cartoon, which I thought was a lot of fun, before we get to transforming these, is they had the ability to, a couple of unique abilities that no other Decepticon had, is that these guys could get energon from eating.
Eating what?
Whatever. Mostly vegetation.
Okay. Just like a real bug.
Yeah, just like a real bug. So, like, the regular Autobot Decepticons had to, like, take our fuel and convert it, turn it to energon. These guys could just eat and transform it.
Would eat trash.
They eat trash.
Wood.
They're mostly shown eating, like, crops. Stuff like that. They were treated like an actual insect.
That's bad. These suckers could probably wipe out a farm.
Right.
Like,
which ties into the other unique ability that you saw in the cartoon, is that they had the ability to clone themselves.
Oh.
So, like, Shrapnel would take a certain kind of special, like, shell that he would launch to the air. It would send out all these shrapnel pieces.
Okay.
And then he would, like, do a little thing with his hand, the electricity would flow out, and each shrapnel piece would morph into another version of them.
That is horrifying.
So they could have, like, millions of them.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun.
Robot insect swarm.
But they only went along with Megatron, the Decepticons, whenever it suited their purposes. Yeah. That's why I described them sort of being like the Dinobots.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start transforming here.
Okay.
So Shrapnel.
Do you want to talk about this too?
Oh, they have the rub sign on them. Yeah. They were part of that line. You know, it's a true Transformer if you.
So you would rub on it, and it would.
It would get hot, and it would tell you what their allegiance was.
And this was like.
So they should all rub and become a Decepticon. Yep.
How long did they do this? Did Hasbro do this?
It wasn't forever. I can't remember what year they finally stopped it, but I think it was about the same time that GoBots kind of started to die off again.
Oh, this is supposed to be that you would tell the difference.
It's only a real Transformer if it's got one of those.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. So that was the rub sign thing there. So the Kickback is on his wing. You know.
So this guy's loosey goosey.
Yeah, they're old and they're starting to
They don't feel very heavy.
No, there's only a little bit of die-cast metal on each of their torsos primarily. So we
got to start transforming these. This is gonna be a beetle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beetle. Okay, so. Okay, that got to go like that. Yeah. That's got to go like that. Okay, this looks like a leg.
Mm-hmm.
Does he twist?
Yes, it does twist.
Okay, so.
Yeah, twist it, right? You might want to pull the legs out a little bit to give the clearance to do that.
So I've got to. All the way around?
All the way around.
He doesn't. Oh, there he went. Okay.
Yeah, put his legs backwards first. So, Shrapnel. Shrapnel, I guess, was the nominal leader of the Insecticons in the cartoon. He kind of was always the middle guy whenever he poses threes. He kind of told them, here's what we're going to do. He's the one who had the speech impediment the most.
I'm afraid I'm going to break it.
It probably has to do with his foot. You have the foot kind of like just the right spot to be able to do it like that. It's supposed to just point out just like you have.
All right, so I got that.
Again, he had the ability to shoot like these shells that would send out shrapnel, thus the name. Did that break? I think it did.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe not. I don't think it did. I think it just popped out.
This is why you shouldn't let me play with your toys. That's 3 for 3.
So we're getting into the old ones here now.
Yeah.
So you basically had it though. Let's go ahead and just fold this down and close this up like that.
Okay.
And that was basically the form. I'll worry about getting the leg back on.
Sorry.
I think it just pops back in.
Sorry I broke your leg.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, they're old. You just gotta.
I'll start doing this.
And you didn't mean to.
You got it.
Everything just pivots.
Okay.
So remember, if it don't fit, don't force it.
I tried to spin it.
Yeah. So if it had a spinny thing, you'd be able to tell by looking at the joint a little bit. So just kind of test the waters a little bit and see what kind of how it moves before you start going on it, and that will help prevent you from popping pieces off.
Okay.
So, no, my wife is big on things being intuitive when it comes to technology. So I'm going to call her out a little bit here now. So if you want to be intuitive, you got to kind of look at it and see, well, okay, how is this likely to move before you just start diving in there and going and stuff like that. So yeah, you got that. Those are his back legs.
Is that it?
No, he's upside down.
Do we have to spin this guy too?
No, so that yellow chest plate becomes the top. So you got to spin his head this time. Spin his head to make his head go around there.
Oh, okay. And that.
But again, here's a little cockpit for shrapnel. But again, he had those shells that shot out the shrapnel. That's the name. He could hold electricity. He could shoot it out of these little horn things on when he was in insect mode. Had this big the gun that could shoot out those shells.
Did I do that right?
You just got to separate. You notice how his front legs separate to become two different legs, right? So one arm becomes two legs. And he would need to crawl on those like an insect.
I'm trying to get it to twist down. Like this? Is that right?
It's the claws. The claw would typically claw the ground, right? So you have the claws upside down.
Yes.
So basically that's about it.
All right.
So you had it right. You just had it upside down.
Okay. That wasn't a lot of transforming going on here.
Well, these early ones didn't have a lot of engineering in them because I think they're stretching the limits of what could be done with plastic and metal back in the day anyway. But that's Kickback. He's the grasshopper.
See if anything spins on this guy. Doesn't feel like it.
Nope.
That came up.
Yep.
All right. So that feels like this needs to go down.
Yep.
Like that. It. Okay.
Yep. Literally.
All right. That spun like that. That spun like that. Those look like legs.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Take the gun out real quick, too, just because he doesn't need the gun in his hands. Careful. Okay. The thing closed over his face. You had that right. That's and then you can hold that out. That's like the horn part of the rhinoceros beetle.
Oh.
And his legs is just fold down to the sides.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, but you go upside down again.
Like that.
The Decepticon symbol usually is kind of one way you can kind of
like this.
So here's what she's got. Okay. So the yellow things that make his shoulders are the bug's eyes.
Oh, wow.
So when you fold it down like that.
Okay.
And so these have leftover wheels. I guess they were, you could roll to for whatever reason. So that there's a visual clue that maybe those should be on the ground too, so they could roll. All right. You got that. So that's the Insecticons. So yeah, so then they had, these are the basic Insecticons, and they had the deluxe Insecticons, which we saw Venom last year.
Yeah.
Okay, Venom was the one turned to Cicada, and then there was Ransack. And those were the three that were from a different line. All the other, they weren't part of Takara. There was some other stock that Hasbro bought to be able to sell as Insecticons. They never saw any media as a result of that. But these guys were seen everywhere. And these guys have been redone over the years in many different ways.
How many different versions do you have? Oh, gosh,
I'd have to look that one up. I'll put it on the screen.
You have a lot of
I think I've got all the different versions so far, with a couple of exceptions.
Were they ever in
like the more recent ones? Insecticons. There's been some versions of the Insecticons from BotCons over the year, but not necessarily these three guys. They put out a special set of these three done in their original Diaclone colors, which is more of like a red and teal as opposed to purple and black and yellow. And they were sold as the clone army. So there's basically your way to get the all their clones that they can make for each other. And why they would be different colors, that doesn't make sense. But, it worked. I bought it. So I have that set in here, too.
That's
the exact same
how it worked. That's why.
Yep. So Bombshell, again, flew around and inject those shells into the mind control. Kickback was just good at
But they do feel very delicate. I have a feeling
they're light. They're light.
It might be challenging to find these Gen 1s in such good shape.
Yeah, I think Kickback was my nicest one.
Yeah. I mean, the stickers are even good on them.
Yeah, I think my oldest one is probably Bombshell, and then followed by that one there. But,
are these any that you had originally, or did you recollect these?
I think this one is original to my collection from a kid, and I think actually these two I think I reacquired. Kickback there.
But, these names are cool. Whoever did the naming on these hit it out of the park.
That's usually there's some sort of appropriate pun that kind of goes along with it, in some cases. So
I mean, I would have used Chachi, but
but you always choose Chachi when you pick a name. So these guys go way back. And so a lot of fun. And so size-wise, don't hold a candle to the Dinobots. We'll do the Dinobots very soon.
It's like a Dinobot and an insect. The two do not go together.
But these guys, when they transform in the cartoon, they were giant-sized insects.
Which is so even more horrifying. I don't know if it's more horrifying to have a giant insect or to have a bunch of robot insects in a swarm. No, either way sounds terrifying.
It sounds bad, and that's how they were portrayed in the cartoon. They would
which I guess is good.
They'd build a big clone army. Yeah. They would actually be like locusts. They would raid a field and eat all the food, and then Autobots come save us.
All of them Insecticons then. If I was Megatron, I mean, that's the way to go. If humans can't eat, you're going to take us over pretty darn quickly.
Now, one last little note here, and I'm going to get this wrong probably. Because this is actually a point of debate too. So if I say I get it wrong, it's maybe more wrong from my point of view. The ultimate fate of Shrapnel in the original cartoon, as far as I can tell, I think is unknown. If memory serves me right. Kickback gets squashed by Cup and Hot Rod going into Autobot City in the opening scene where they attack the Autobot City and.
In the movie?
In the Transformers the animated movie. Okay. Kickback's eating on Metroplex, and Cup comes in and basically runs over his head and squishes it.
I don't remember that. That's kind of violent.
Bombshell. Yeah. Okay, and when the scene when Unicron takes some Decepticon parts and turns them into Cyclonus, Scourge, and Galvatron, he is shown on the screen along with one of the Seekers, which was most people say it was Skywarp, but I tend to agree that it was Skywarp. Both Skywarp and Bombshell are turned into Cyclonuses. The original vision was that Cyclonus was going to have a big army, almost like Scourge had a big army, but they dropped that very quickly. Scourge had an army called the Sweeps. Cyclonus was by himself. So there's a lot of debate on who is Cyclonus. Is it Bombshell or is it Skywarp? And the debate goes back and forth.
I know that I lose sleep thinking about it.
You're going to know that you know about it too. Tonight you'll be laying there going, oh my God, who is Scourge? Or who is Cyclonus, I should say.
Yep.
So that's how they were portrayed in the cartoon. In the comic books, they were portrayed, and they transformed into small insects.
Yeah.
Like they were actually insecticide.
They ever think about making a mosquito because blood sucking?
In Beast Wars, they had a mosquito Insecticon. Yeah.
Okay.
When Beast Wars,
wasp, right?
Yeah, in Beast Wars, when they started doing animal theme more, that was the main thing of it. There were all kinds of different insect transformers. In fact, one guy who came out who was kind of like a stag bee like this, his name was Insecticon. Oh. Almost like Insecticon became there was Dinobot famously from the cartoon too. So the Generation 1 Insecticons, originally from the Diaclone line.
I like them. They're smaller than I remember. My memory was that they were bigger.
Well, the deluxe Insecticons are slightly bigger, but there we go. So let's celebrate insect season with a beer.
With a nice cold beer.
What are we talking about today for our beer?
Well, so today we're going to talk about a brewery that's always been in our backyard, and
our backyard.
You know what I mean? Yeah, where the bugs are. And we've enjoyed some of their beers at various restaurants around town and bars, but we never had stopped by. So we just recently visited, and that brewery we're talking about is Heavy Riff, which is a brew pub in Dogtown, the Dogtown area of St. Louis.
Which is near Forest Park.
Yeah. So, Heavy Riff, they were founded in 2013, and I would say that their theme is rock and roll.
Yeah, a lot of their beers have that theme to it, but not all of them, as you're going to see today.
Right, and so here's a little backstory. They use traditional brewing methods to craft a wide range of classical and experimental beer styles, featuring inspiration from a range of musical influences. So, for example, the beer that we've had the most of that we see around town is called Love Gun. It's a vanilla cream ale. We've also had Velvet.
If you don't get the reference, it's things like Kiss, so the words on here, we'll put it on the screen, they look kind of Kiss-ish.
Yeah, this looks like Kiss artwork.
They typically don't get full, I guess, rights.
Right.
Because so they can't go out and full say Love Gun sponsored by Kiss, but it's close. It's like adjacent.
We've also tried another beer that we frequently see around town is Velvet Underbrown, and so that's a brown ale. We've enjoyed that as well. So, it was founded by the brewmaster Jared Safo, along with Rick Hagan and Greg Meyer, and they offer 25 taps, and the taps are their own beers that rotate and also guest beers. They also have house smoked barbecue, so you can go have a nice meal. And their playlist spans the greatest in rock music from many different eras. So if you want to go in and enjoy rock and roll, rock motif, and rock some good brews.
Lots of cool like concert posters on the wall inside the restaurant.
Absolutely.
Some pictures you'll see on the screen. But it's kind of cool going there. Nice outdoor area.
Oh, it was gorgeous. And they have you can order their beers, but you have to pick up there. So I think they distribute a little bit. I know they do around where we are because we've seen their beers, like we said,
almost everywhere in the St. Louis area.
In grocery stores and restaurants. I don't know how much farther they go from there. But the day that we went, we tried a lot of different things on tap we hadn't had before.
Right.
They had some really rich, why am I blanking on it?
Aged IPAs or barrel aged?
No, it was the barrel aged stouts.
Okay.
And the one that I had been aged over 2 years in, I want to say, an Old Crow barrel. Is that right? Old Forester. It was Old Forester. Yeah. And it was so rich and so good. But I also had a Vienna style lager that was just so crisp and perfect. What beer did you like best?
They have like a lemon. It wasn't. I'm not shandy. I think strictly speaking, the lemon one, which I think I'd had before, and it didn't sound interesting to me at the time. I looked at the menu, and they had a blueberry one, which I thought will be okay. That'll be very blueberry, but it was the same lemon one with like some blueberry acids involved. So if I were to rate that one, I would say I was disappointed because I was hoping for more in my face blueberry flavor.
Yeah,
it still was a good beer.
Yeah,
it just wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting more of a blueberry ale. But my impression was they took their lemon ale and added some blueberry to it as well.
Sure.
So I had that one. And I had an aged one too, but I'm drawing a blank on what it was.
It was the same. It was the same collab.
Yeah.
But yours was aged in a different kind of barrel.
Yeah. Those were really good. I only had two. You had a flight, and then you had another one after that.
And that Vienna lager is the one that I had. just as my dessert, I guess.
But the day we went, it happened to be Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all of you out there. That's why I took her there to celebrate there. But the way they were doing it that day, I'm not sure if this is the normal operation, but when you walk in the bar, they had like a wraparound line. And then you ordered, then you take your stuff wherever you want to sit. Mm-hmm. You know, so it was self-serve in that regard.
Yeah.
You know, but when you had walked around, they had all their merch.
Yeah, lots of merch.
And that's where they had all the coolers. So you could see all the different beers you could buy in cans, or they had some like larger size, like wine bottle size, Magnum type things for
from those barrel age. So I think the barrel age that they do is very popular. Yeah. So we'll have to put the name of it up here on the screen.
Yeah, we'll research it and we'll put it up there. I'll put a picture on.
Yeah, that's terrible. My memory.
It was another rock and roll music one theme, like most of them.
Yeah.
But the one we got to try today is not rock and roll theme. So let's go ahead and try it.
You want me to grab it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'll grab it real quick.
So it was our first time, and it was just down the street. It's like I said, it's across the highway from Forest Park and the zoo in that kind of neighborhood. That's called Dogtown.
Yeah.
We won't get into why it's called that. It's a St. Louis thing. But down the street from like all the other museums, like the Science Center's down the street. We've done Modern Brewery on the show here. It's a couple, several blocks down from Modern Brewery. Yeah. But what's our beer today?
Well, so this was fun. We just got this because it's called Old St. Louis. And it's just a lager.
Not old.
Yeah, old.
Old St. Louis.
So it's got like the Route 66 symbol. And it says St. Louis Proud on it. So it's just going to be just a straight up lager. So probably nothing super exciting, but
there's nothing wrong with a regular beer.
Not at all. I'm mostly excited about the can because I love St. Louis. And it's very light. There's hardly any color to that at all.
Super light.
So
it's not billed as a light beer,
though. No, premium lager.
St. Louis
it's almost
lager,
clear.
Old St. Louis. Premium
Fascinating.
Lager. St. Louis Proud.
It smells sweet. It smells like, it smells like camping beer.
Yeah. Well, here we go.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That is very tasty.
For a lager, though, there's some flavor.
Yeah, that's
not just beer.
You would be shocked
how
flavorful this is by the color.
A little bit of like citrus.
I'm tasting corn.
Corn?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's but very sweet. I guess there's a little citrus on the back end.
It's almost like they hit a little hops at the last minute or something like that.
Oh, yeah. No, that's perfect. That is just a porch drinking beer right here. This is a beer to drink.
Emerald
after you've spent the day at the Arch.
Bam.
And gone to the St. Louis Science Center and the zoo. Mm-hmm. And you're ready to have some barbecue and some toasted ravioli.
Oh, yeah.
And some gooey butter cake.
And for barbecue, it's got to be pork steaks.
Pork steaks, yes.
We're talking St. Louis food here, folks. If you're not outside the St. Louis area, those are the things.
And you had to have soak those pork steaks in beer for at least 24 hours.
That's one good way to do it.
Slather on that sauce, man.
Yeah.
Not a dry rub. We got to put that sauce on there.
Yeah. So
saucy.
Those are the kind of the main St. Louis foods. This thing of gooey butter cake, toasted ravioli, St. Louis style pizza with provolone cheese.
While you're listening to a Cardinals game on the radio, you're gonna be drinking this beer.
And pork steak. For those of you who have no idea what a pork steak is, go to your meat counter, get like a pork butt, and ask them to slice it into like half-inch steaks.
Yeah.
And that's a pork steak.
So this is awesome. So you've done really St. Louis Proud, Heavy Riff. But yeah, it's a fun place to go. It's on a corner. Not a ton of parking, but you can park on the street. Mm-hmm. We saw families there. So like you said, lots of outdoor space. So and we didn't eat there. We just tried the beer, but we'll definitely go back to try that barbecue because it smelled amazing.
They had some good stuff on there. Yeah.
So anyway,
all right.
Nicely done,
so
Heavy
awesome.
Riff.
Talking about some Heavy Riff basic premium lager. I said basic premium lager. It's like oxymoron there, but no, it's a great, just kind of like it's a regular, what I would call a regular beer.
It's not. It's only 4.8 alcohol by volume, so it's not really strong. But yeah, perfect. That's a good old St. Louis lager. Oh, you're welcome.
So as we kind of wind things down here, as we usually do, if you'd like to know more about the Insecticons, you can go to tfwiki.net, like I go to for anything you want to know about Transformers. For sure, Chris McFeely has a video on the basics on the Insecticons, so you can watch that. It's on YouTube, so search for the basics on. If you'd like to know more information about these guys, look there. If you'd like to know anything about any other Transformer that we haven't talked about yet, or if you you really messed up this video, go back and talk about that one again. We can do that too. Let us know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to see.
What are you talking about? We never mess up videos. They're always perfect.
And Noelle didn't break it. She just popped the leg off. I was able to fix it this time.
I know, but man, that's 3 in a row where I've done some kind of
the bull in
drama.
the china shop here.
I know. I'll try to do better next time.
Noelle transform it.
Maybe we should do the ones for babies next time and see how I handle that.
I don't know.
But by the way, if there's any beer spirit you would like us to try, please drop the name down there in the comments or send us a message because we're always looking for new ideas.
As we get ready to close down here, as we always say, play responsibly, Noelle. With the really old toys.
Don't be Noelle.
Drink responsibly. And thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.